Hi, I'm Jayla. Never thought I'd be sitting in my kitchen at 62, staring at bank statements that made absolutely no sense. After 40 years of careful saving, my retirement account showed a balance that wouldn't cover next month's property tax. I flipped through the pages again, my hands trembling. The phone rang, startling me. It was my friend Denise. Hey girl, we still on for lunch tomorrow? Her voice was cheerful as always. I don't know, Denise. Something's wrong with my accounts. The numbers aren't adding up. What do you mean? Like a bank error? I wish. Nearly $200,000 is missing, and there are transfers I never authorized. Denise's voice dropped to a whisper. Jayla, who else has access to your accounts? My stomach tightened. Just Melissa. I added her after my surgery last year, just in case something happened. Your daughter? You don't think... No, of course not. She's always been so responsible with money. And Marcus is an accountant, for heaven's sake. That's exactly why you should be concerned, Denise said slowly. Listen, my nephew works at First National. Let me make a call. What are you suggesting? I asked, though deep down I already knew. I'm suggesting you find out exactly when and where those transfers went before you talk to Melissa. 3 days later, Denise and I sat in her living room with printouts spread across her coffee table. Her nephew, Trevor, had pulled strings to get me detailed transaction records. These withdrawals started small, Trevor pointed at the first page. 500 here, 1,000 there. Then they got bigger. All transferred to this joint account. That's Melissa and Marcus's account, I said quietly. I recognize the number. There's something else, Trevor said, sliding another paper forward. This signature on the wire transfer form from last month? It doesn't match your signature card. They forged my signature? My voice sounded strange, even to myself. I've seen this before with elderly parents, Trevor said carefully. I'm not elderly, I snapped. I'm 62 and perfectly capable of managing my own money. That's why this is fraud, Denise interjected. Jayla, when was the last time you had dinner at their new house? 3 weeks ago. Melissa was showing off their kitchen renovation. My mind flashed to the marble countertops, the professional-grade appliances. She said Marcus got a bonus. Trevor shook his head. That wasn't a bonus. That was your retirement. But why would they do this? Melissa knows this money is all I have. Let's find out, Denise said, reaching for her phone. My cousin's a private investigator, and you're going to need a lawyer. Just then, my phone lit up with a text from Melissa. Hey, Mom. Marcus and I are thinking about buying a vacation property. Can we stop by tonight to get your advice? I looked up at Denise, my vision blurring with tears. They're not even done yet. David Andrews, Denise's PI cousin, met me at a coffee shop downtown the following afternoon. He had the weathered look of someone who'd seen too many family betrayals. Financial elder abuse cases are my specialty, he said, sliding a folder across the table. Your daughter and son-in-law have been busy. I flipped through the photos. Melissa and Marcus outside expensive restaurants, shopping bags from luxury stores, a snapshot of them looking at yachts. I don't understand, I said. They both have good jobs. They also have massive debt, David replied. 3 mortgages, maxed out credit cards, and Marcus has a gambling problem. Gambling? That can't be right. He lectures about financial responsibility every chance he gets. Classic projection. I tracked his visits to casinos in Atlantic City. He drops thousands in a weekend. The waitress brought our coffees. I couldn't bring myself to drink mine. What about their new house? The renovations? All funded with your money. Here's the timeline. He showed me a chart of withdrawals from my account matched against their purchases. They've been bleeding you dry for 14 months. What about my other daughter, Kimberly? Is she involved? David shook his head. No evidence of that. But I did interview her husband, Jeff. He suspected something wasn't right. You talked to Jeff? Without telling me? That's my job. Discreet information gathering. He mentioned Thanksgiving when Marcus was showing off his new watch. I remembered that dinner. Kimberly asked how an accountant could afford a Rolex. Melissa changed the subject. Jeff said Marcus claimed it was a replica, but Jeff knows watches. It was real. About $40,000 real. My hands began to shake. That's more than I make in a year. The bell above the coffee shop door jingled, and I looked up to see Kimberly walking in. David had arranged this, I realized. Mom? Kimberly spotted me and hurried over. What's going on? Jeff said it was important. Sit down, honey. I gestured to the empty chair. I need to ask you something, and I need the absolute truth. Kimberly's eyes darted between me and David. Who's this? A private investigator. Kim, did you know about what Melissa and Marcus have been doing? Her face flushed. I knew something wasn't right. Their lifestyle makes no sense on their income. Why didn't you say anything? I tried. Remember when I asked about helping with your finances? Melissa jumped down my throat, said I was trying to control you. That was right after I gave her access to my accounts, I realized. Mom, Melissa told everyone you were getting forgetful, that you needed her help managing your money. I've never been sharper in my life. I know that, Kimberly said, reaching for my hand. That's why I started documenting things. The trips, the purchases. I have dates, photos, even some conversations I recorded when they were bragging about their latest splurges. David leaned forward. That could be extremely helpful for the case. Case? Kimberly's eyes widened. Mom, are you going to sue them? No, I said firmly. I'm going to press charges. I invited Melissa and Marcus to Sunday dinner the following week. My lawyer, Catherine Yo, suggested confronting them with witnesses present. Act normal until we're ready, Catherine had advised. Let them think nothing's changed. So I cooked Melissa's favorite meal, pot roast with all the fixings, and invited Kimberly and Jeff, too. David was there as an old friend of Denise's. The doorbell rang at 6 o'clock sharp. Hey, Mom, Melissa breezed in, air kissing my cheek. Something smells amazing. Marcus followed, carrying an expensive bottle of wine. For the chef, he said with that practiced smile. How thoughtful, I said, taking the bottle. Probably cost as much as my monthly medication. A flicker of confusion crossed Marcus's face, but he recovered quickly. Only the best for family. Dinner was excruciating. I watched them eat the food I'd prepared, laughing and sharing stories about their planned vacation to the Maldives. How can you afford such an expensive trip? Kimberly asked innocently, following our script. Marcus has been killing it at work, Melissa boasted. His client portfolio has doubled. That's impressive, David commented. Which clients are those? Marcus hesitated. I can't discuss specific clients. That's interesting, I said, setting down my fork. Because your firm said you haven't brought in any new clients this year. The room went silent. Melissa's smile froze. Mom, why would you call Marcus's work? The same reason I called the bank, the mortgage company, and the casino. I reached under the table and pulled out a folder. Shall we discuss where my retirement savings went? Marcus straightened his tie. Jayla, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Stop talking, I snapped. For 14 months, you've been stealing from me. $243,000, my entire life's savings. Mom, that's ridiculous, Melissa laughed, but her eyes darted to the door. Tell her, Marcus. We were borrowing it, Marcus said smoothly. We were going to pay it all back before you even noticed. With what money? The money you lose at poker every weekend? I slid casino receipts across the table. Or were you planning to steal from someone else? You gave me access to help manage your finances, Melissa said, her voice hardening. You were making poor decisions. Like what? Refusing to fund your kitchen renovation? You're getting older, Mom. We were protecting your assets. By spending them on Rolex watches and yacht rentals? I pushed more photos toward them. Marcus stood up abruptly. This is a family misunderstanding. We'll repay whatever you think we owe. Sit down, David said quietly. There's more. Who are you again? Marcus demanded. Private investigator, former fraud detective. Melissa's face went pale. Mom, you hired a detective to spy on us? I hired him to confirm what the bank already told me. You forged my signature on transfer documents. You can't prove that, Marcus snapped. I slid the final document forward, a forensic handwriting analysis. Actually, I can. Marcus lunged for the papers. Give me those. Jeff stood up, blocking him. Back off, man. You're all crazy, Melissa shouted, grabbing her purse. Let's go, Marcus. The police are outside, I said calmly. They have questions about the forged documents. Marcus's face contorted with rage. You called the cops on your own daughter? No, I called them on thieves who happen to be family. He shoved the dining table hard, sending dishes crashing. You'll regret this, he hissed, pointing at me. I'll make sure you end up in the worst nursing home I can find. As if on cue, 2 officers stepped through my front door. The courthouse was intimidating, all marble and echoing hallways. Catherine walked beside me, explaining what to expect. The prosecutor has a strong case, she assured me. With the documentation we provided, they're facing serious charges. Will I have to see them? My stomach churned at the thought. Yes, but you'll be prepared. Just tell the truth exactly as it happened. We turned the corner into the main courtroom. That's when I saw them, Melissa and Marcus sitting with their attorney. When I walked into the courtroom, my daughter chuckled softly. Her husband just shook his head. Their arrogance fueled my resolve. The proceedings were faster than I expected. The prosecution presented bank records, forged documents, and spending trails. I testified about discovering the theft and confronting them. Kimberly provided her recordings of Melissa bragging about their purchases. When it was my turn to take the stand, the prosecutor approached gently. Mrs. Thompson, can you describe your relationship with your daughter before all this happened? I gripped the edges of the witness stand. I thought we were close. After her father died 5 years ago, I made sure she and Kimberly would be taken care of financially. I worked 2 jobs most of my life to build that savings. And how did you discover the theft? Property tax bill came due. When I went to transfer the money, most of it was gone. From the corner of my eye, I could see Melissa whispering furiously to her attorney. The defense tried to paint me as confused, suggesting I had agreed to loan them money and then forgotten. Mrs. Thompson, their lawyer asked, isn't it possible you verbally approved these transfers during one of your weekly dinners? No, I replied firmly. I would never approve emptying my retirement account for yacht rentals and gambling. But you can't prove you didn't approve it, can you? I can prove they forged my signature instead of asking me, I countered. Why forge if I had approved? He had no answer for that. Their defense was pathetic, claiming I had verbally approved everything, that it was a misunderstanding about a family loan. The jury didn't buy it. 3 months after that dinner, I sat in the same courtroom for sentencing. Melissa and Marcus had been found guilty of elder financial abuse, fraud, and forgery. Before I pronounce sentence, the judge said, do the defendants wish to make a statement? Marcus stood, his expensive suit replaced by one that looked rented. Your Honor, I've made terrible mistakes. I got caught up in a lifestyle I couldn't afford. I'm deeply sorry for betraying my mother-in-law's trust. The judge nodded. Miss Reynolds? Melissa's eyes were red as she faced me. Mom, please. We never meant for this to go so far. I love you. We can fix this as a family. Miss Thompson, the judge addressed me. Would you like to respond? I stood slowly. Your Honor, for 14 months, my daughter and her husband systematically stole my life's savings while telling everyone I was losing my mental faculties. They planned to drain me dry and discard me. Love doesn't do that. The judge leaned forward, her gaze severe as she addressed my daughter and son-in-law. The court finds the deliberate targeting of a parent particularly reprehensible. You exploited a position of trust, forged documents, and showed no remorse until caught. This wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated campaign. The judge sentenced Marcus to 6 years and Melissa to 4. The court also ordered full restitution, though I knew I'd never see most of that money again. Afterward, in the courthouse hallway, Denise hugged me tightly. How are you holding up? She asked. I'm okay. Stronger than I thought I'd be. Kimberly approached with Jeff. Mom, I've been thinking. Jeff and I have that extra room since the kids left for college. Would you consider moving in with us? Not because you need help, but because I'd like having you close. I'd like that, I said, surprising myself. But I'm keeping my own bank accounts. They all laughed, a genuine moment of relief. Jayla? It was Catherine. There's someone who wants to meet you. She introduced me to an elegant woman in her 70s. This is Eleanor Wilson from the Senior Protection Alliance. Your case has inspired her. Mrs. Thompson, Eleanor said, your courage in fighting back has given hope to many others in your situation. Would you consider speaking at our advocacy group? So many seniors are too ashamed to come forward when family members exploit them. Looking around at my true support network, Denise, Kimberly, Jeff, Catherine, David, and now Eleanor, I realized something important. Family isn't always who you're born to. Sometimes it's who stands beside you when you fight for yourself. I'd be honored to speak, I told Eleanor. This wasn't just about getting justice for myself. It's about showing others they can stand up too. As we walked out of the courthouse into the sunshine, Kimberly asked, "What now, Mom?" Now? I smiled. Now I start the next chapter, on my own terms,